Hey everybody, welcome to Destiny Has No Secrets, a Legend of the Five Rings podcast, talking about everything in Legend of the Five Rings and everything in Rakugan. I'm your host, Doug, and this is my co-host.
Ginger Jesus, how y'all's doing?
And today we're going to be talking about the Dragon Clan. As we have seen this week, we got this new article, The Monks of the Mountain, and we're going to be going over the cards and some of the new information in that. And then later, if we have a little bit of time, we'll be talking about why you might want to choose the dragon as your clan for this new upcoming game. But first, a couple announcements. You should be expecting the posts from last episode coming up. I'm running a little behind on things, so by the time you hear this, hopefully that will be out. Also, you can, if they are not out already, you should be expecting a review of the Lion Clan cards, and shortly after this, I'm going to start recording the review of the Dragon Clan cards, going over the card pools and giving some analysis and thought, as well as the results from our sort of mail-in on why you should choose the clan in question, Clan XY Scorpion Clan, that we had people email in and sell us their clan, sort of thing, and then Ginger will be posting that as well. So.
Now, we are recording this before that competition ends. However, by the time you see this, the competition will be over.
Mhm.
I will say I still don't have all the submissions. We've got a scorpion, we've got a crab, we've got a scorpion, a crab, a dragon,
Okay.
and a crane.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's so we're missing
So
Unicorn,
the others I'm
Phoenix.
going to have the others I'm going to have to make up myself.
Well, it's not too bad. You got a decent pick there. Unicorn, Phoenix. What else do you say to
Oh,
Draco?
I can sell the unicorn all day long.
I could
They're a
probably.
fun clan. They're
I.
they're they're a great clan for new players. They're very fun. They're very a lot of great storyline.
Yeah.
They're easy to sell to new players.
Yeah. That's the one clan I can't sell. I just can't. I can't get into it. But yeah. So anything else? With that being said, I think we can move on into our show. Is there anything else that you had, Ginger, that you wanted to announce or
No,
anything?
nothing I need to bring up at the moment. No.
All right, cool. All right, so we're talking about Monks of the Mountain, the FFG article about the Dragon Clan. Oh, actually, I did have one thing. Let me actually roll back just a half a second. So this week there was posted on the Reddit, at least I think it was this week. Yes, it was this week. There was posted on the Reddit, the L5R Reddit, the rules so far. So as we're talking through this, if you're a little confused about some of the rules or you want to look things up, there's a kind of an accumulated rules from all the different articles that they have into one big thread, and it's posted at the top as a pinned post. So I just wanted to point that out for people because we end up discussing we get into the weeds with some of the rules, and sometimes we forget that some of the people maybe are not seeing all of the information that's come out so far to make their own judgments. So okay, going back, Dragon Clan. Dragon Clan.
All right.
All right.
Dragon
Yeah.
Clan.
I thought we would do a little backwards this week, starting because since this is the first stronghold that we've really new stronghold outside the Lion and Crane that we've seen, right? About so I figured we start with the stronghold first and just generally the sort of concept and philosophy of the Dragon Clan as being sort of the centrist. The Dragon Clan are a clan of enigmatic scholars and monks and sort of like priests up in the mountains. They kind of reflecting
Yeah.
on enlightenment and crap. And as a
Well, I
clan.
mean,
Mhm.
with the old game, they were definitely the clan you pick if you wanted to do the Enlightenment victory, which was probably one of the most challenging of all victory conditions.
Mhm.
Now that the Enlightenment victory is no longer a thing, I'm kind of really wondering where they're going with it.
Well,
Because at this point,
mhm.
historically, they've always been like the second best at everything.
Yeah, they've always been kind of mediocre, and they've kind of sat there. This is really interesting though because their stronghold is actually insanely good, I would think. So their stronghold is Mountains Anvil Castle. It's +2 province strength. So
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think that's actually fairly standard. Without looking at it, I think that's actually the same as the Crane and Lion one, so it's pretty standard.
Okay.
It's a 7 fate per round, 11 starting honor, 10 influence, and it has the castle trait,
Ooh.
and it has action during a conflict. Bow to stronghold. Choose a participating character with one or more attachments on it. Until the end of the conflict, that character gets +1 military and +1 political, +2 military and +2 political instead if it has two or more attachments. Um, I like this as the concept of it gives a political bonus. That's one of the few things. It's incredibly rare from what we're seeing
Yeah.
to get political bonuses. But like
Makes them very well rounded.
it does, and it gives them a blanket bonus as opposed to for both military and political is extremely flexible. And the one attachment restriction isn't going to be too hard from what we're seeing. Um, in this article, we'll see here getting up to it. But 7 Fate is the normal. 11 starting honor, I think is pretty. I think it's in the middle ground, which they even say in the article. So it's a really well-rounded stronghold, I think, and it's going to be suited
Yeah.
towards a lot of different things. So I really like it. Is there anything you have to say about it, or like just? I mean,
Assuming they don't, assuming they don't fall into the trap of trying to be good at everything,
mhm,
because sometimes in many story arcs the Dragon Clan will fall down because the creators will try to make them just good at everything,
yeah,
and then they end up with very unfocused decks.
yeah, yeah,
And so long as they don't do that, so long as they pick two or three things and kind of make them not as good but still pretty decent at those things, I think they're going to be a really good clan to play.
yeah.
I, I really hope we don't fall into the trap of every Dragon Clan player just
Mhm.
getting ruined by their own deck.
Yeah. I think they're going to be very tricksy to play, and we're seeing so they're like going into their themes that they're kind of going with here is fate and fate manipulation, right? And that comes in two categories that we're seeing. One, the first half of the category, and I'll just go off on the cards here for a second, is the mechanic of spending fate, spending one of their fate pool to an unclaimed ring, right? Now remember in
Mhm.
the rules when you go to fight a conflict, right? You pick a ring, and if there's any fate on that unclaimed ring, then you gain that fate, right? So there's kind of like this risk
Yeah.
economy going on. But they spend the fate to an unclaimed ring to get an effect, right? And we have three, three cards that, or two cards that do this that they show us. Well, they show us a couple, but so the first one is Kitsuki Investigator. It's a non-unique, 3 fate cost character, 1 military skill, 3 political, 2 glory, courtier trait, and has the action while this character is participating in a political conflict, spend 1 fate to an unclaimed ring, look at your opponent's hand, choose one of those cards, and discard it. Maximum 1 once per conflict. And the second card that we see to kind of rebalance because when you spend fate, you get this sort of your opponent can grab it, but to keep people from doing that, they have Enlightened Warrior, which is a 3 fate cost non-unique character, 2 military skill, 2 political, 1 glory, Bushi traded. Has reaction after opponent selects a ring with fate on it, place 1 fate on this character. So the character sticks around longer the more you go and grab that free fate. So
Mhm.
what do we think about this? Like as far as this first half of the manipulating fate, spending fate to unclaimed rings, um, to achieve
If
effects.
if you are playing this deck
Mm-hmm.
and you are not spending your fate wisely, you're gonna get hosed. This is gonna take some practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost you 3 fate to bring this dude into play. You only have 7, so unless you're doing really good at acquiring more fate or banking fate for this character,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at a character who is already costing you 3 and then an extra fourth to perform this effect. That's over 50% of your fate for your round.
Yeah. So
So
you have to have the available
unless you've
fate
got
to just. Hmm.
characters in play from last round, unless you got characters in play from last round, if you got people who are sticking around, if you got that other guy who keeps sticking around, unless you guys got guys who just aren't leaving, this guy it seems like a really expensive investment, especially because if you don't put fate on him, he's
Hmm.
going to go away,
Yeah.
which means it's going to cost you minimum 4 fate to do his effect.
Hmm.
5 fate if you want to do it twice.
Yeah, over the point of like if you want to do it in a political and a military or over the course of 2 turns, right?
Yeah, I might keep him in play for 2 turns. I mean,
Yeah, you want to keep
you're
him in
talking. I
play.
mean, let's say you put 4 fate, you spend the 4 fate, you got him for 2 turns, you end up using his ability twice. That's an investment of 6 fate in what is essentially a discard.
Yeah, which can be stacked, because you have the ring that stacks the discard for 1 card, and then we have I can't remember the name of Courtier's Disgrace or something like that. There's Disgrace or Shameful Disgrace, um,
Yeah,
that discards additional 2. So it's sort of like a control-y sort of faction. You know what I mean? Because it's removing cards, which fate cards are or conflict cards are come at a high cost. I mean, you have to spend basically an equivalent or risk equivalent of an honor for each one, or invest at least a fate for each effect that gives you a card. So
yeah.
I think the person who masters the ability to really use this manipulation of fate economy, right? So to place fate
hmm
on rings, then take that fate back, right, to produce effects, is really good at judging where the opponent's going to go. Is going to get the most out of these effects. So like if they're for instance playing Crane, and they want to, and that they're gonna swing in and use claim the water ring first, right? You don't want to place your fate on the water ring because they're gonna grab it, right? You want to try to incentivize them to play into strategies that are counter synergistic to their what they're doing,
Yeah,
you know.
I think that when people start using this theme, they're going to get rolled quite a bit, and then like something's going to click.
Yeah, yeah. There's gonna be this
There's going to
watershed
be like
moment.
one guy who just gets it. He's going to discuss on the forums. The rest of the Dragon Clan players who pay attention to the forums,
Yeah.
or if there's a Facebook group, I don't know. And next thing you know, Dragon are going to be pretty awesome with this
Hmm.
theme.
Hmm.
I think at first it's not going to be so awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult to wield for sure. And there are,
Yeah.
we've already seen two of the other personalities, which I think we've discussed on or maybe that was before you came on in previous episodes. I've discussed on this show before that benefit off of unclaimed or fate on unclaimed rings. Certainly in the Enlightened Warrior sticking around. I mean, because that's basically giving you free economy whenever your opponent. So it's kind of a trade. You're basically spending your fate to an unclaimed ring. If they snag it, then the Enlightened Warrior gets extra fate on it. Which could be good depending on what if you attach things. It is just a blank body though. It's a 2/2. That doesn't really. I mean, basically doesn't do much other than to stick around longer, potentially depending on what your opponent does. So
When you're sitting, when you're dealing with a game where people are exiting almost as quickly as they enter, and I think with the fate economy, the way I'm looking at it in my brain and the way I've seen it played out,
mm,
most people aren't going to have more than 2 or 3 characters out at a time, especially not in the early game.
yeah.
Maybe late game after people banked fate, acquired fate, got their cards going, figured stuff
Hmm.
out, you might get 5, 6 characters out for the last couple rounds,
Yeah.
but you get 3 of these guys in play
Yeah.
and they just don't go away.
Yeah. Especially yeah, if you have
Yeah, nice,
multiple that
nice, nice swarm deck, Lion.
yeah.
Nice swarm deck. Okay.
It's like, do you really want that fate? And at that point, that's actually kind of an interesting thing, right? Because like, say you have two of these guys out, right? You've by somehow, or like, say you bring two of these guys out, or they've been sticking around, right? And you've
Yeah,
have a bunch of these little effects that spend fate, and you've spent a bunch of fate into unclaimed rings, right? Now, you can actually spend fate to a claimed ring that they would want to grab, but this punishes them for them doing that because it's a compound effect. For every time that they seize a ring with one fate on it, then you're going to be getting basically two if there's only one. I mean, like, it doesn't count for after multiples, so you probably don't want a lot of fate. But you could put like one fate on the water ring for that crane player and be like, go ahead. What are you gonna do? You know,
Yeah,
you're gonna
how badly do you want that? Because I know next round this guy's going to be sticking around, and I got some pretty good cards in my hands. So
yeah. I think it's I
choices.
think it's a really interesting little effect. It could I'm kind of concerned about balance and more so because of um the second side of this fate manipulation, which is their ability to actually directly manipulate fate on characters, both their own and others. So they give us they have two cards, right? One is Miramoto. I'm gonna try to pronounce this right. Ratsugu, Reisugu.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's a unique character. Three fate costs, three military, two political, one glory. Bushi duelist. So he's the first dragon duelist, I believe, that we've seen. He has action. While this character is participating in a conflict, choose a participating character controlled by your opponent. Challenge that character to a military duel. If the loser of the duel has no fate on it, discard it. Otherwise, remove one fate from it. Right. So this is a duel that basically can discard kill a character essentially, or remove a fate, bringing that character closer to death. And I buried the second card because I went straight to attachments. But they have this sort of effect, right, and of manipulating fate, right, on your characters. They have another one in here that I kind of buried in my previews. Was it Katsuki method? No. Yeah. So this idea of manipulating fate on other characters to do things. Oh, there it is. Mantra Fire. Sorry. It's a zero cost event. Kiho Fire reaction after opponent declares a fire conflict. Choose or Yeah, it's fire conflict. Choose a monk character or character with a monk attachment. Place one fate on that character. Draw a card. So it's a conditional thing that gives you fate and draws a card, sort of like a pseudo economy card. Um,
So what you do is you get an opponent you know is going to really want that fire ring. You get that second guy you mentioned, whose name I can't remember because my memory is shot thanks to Nintendo. Um, uh, you're like, okay, there's the fire ring. How badly do you need the fire ring? And now you got two characters that are getting fate.
yeah, yeah. So this is compounding those effects. I'm really
Oh
worried.
man.
Yeah, I'm really worried about fate manipulation.
Oh
Honestly,
man.
I think it's okay to remove fate from personalities. It's sort of like a good replacement for kill effects. I mean, because kill effects were overpowered in the old game, and I think removing fate as opposed to just outright killing a person, regardless of how much fate, is a good replacement for that. But if you have a faction that controls the economy, that has like, one of their themes is controlling the economy, that faction inherently becomes really busted really quickly.
He who controls the fate controls Rokugan.
Yeah, I know, right?
He
Uh,
who can destroy a thing controls a thing.
I'm sure old school players have horrible memories of Mantis and their ability to control gold and manipulate gold, especially in the last legs of the game.
You're
Um,
talking to a guy who played Yasuki.
yeah, well, yeah, and well, Yusuke did too, but they leveraged money to dishonor you, right? Like Mantis had it
Well,
outright, like I just
I
steal
would,
your money.
I would dishonor your holdings.
Yeah.
So if you tap them for gold, I would
Mhm.
take your honor away.
They really need. I think they really need to offer this. Watch this, and if they're going to produce a powerful effect that manipulates fate, they need to provide some. They need to have counterplay, right? They need to have and definitely. FFG's been good about conservative cards, but there are problems that they have risen in other games during periods of time, short periods for sure, but where they've just kind of printed something and for God knows why it was just overpowered and they didn't really fix it right away. Um, and I'm
Well,
worried
I'm
that
really
this.
thinking the
Mhm.
counter to Dragon as far as fate goes will probably come out of the Scorpion.
Yeah,
or I'm kind of hoping Crab has some good anti-fate
Mhm.
mechanics.
I actually wanted, speaking of Scorpion, right, and busted mechanics, right? They have a card here that gives us a new generic mechanic, right? It's a tattooed wanderer. Wanderer. It's a one
Mhm.
fake cost character, non-unique, two military skill, one political skill, zero glory, monk tattooed. You may play this character as an attachment with the text attached character gains covert. It's a conflict card too, so it's two influence, so you can put it in your conflict deck. Now, this card's neat, right? Because it's a character that can attach as an attachment, which is feeding into their attachments theme. Sort of like he gives his wisdom to that character or whatever, helps that character out. That's a cool theme.
So
I
it's kind
like.
of like a
Mm.
it's kind of like we used to in the old game we had followers such as Enlightened Tutor,
Yeah, 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 and that's kind of how they're doing, like with Dragon. And I think it
which
would be cool if they,
was which was a broken card.
yeah. But I like the idea of using the conflict side characters as either attachments or as characters on their own right. I like that concept.
Hmm.
What is alarming to me, and the reason why I brought up the Scorpion, was the covert. So what the covert rule does, right, is when you have a covert character, right, and that character assigns to a conflict, you pick a character without covert in your opponent's board, and that character cannot defend for that conflict. It's for Game of Thrones players. They have a similar ability called Stealth, right? Now, mind you, that's so that in the score, I mean ninjas right off the bat are going to have
Yeah,
covert. You know it, right? That
yeah.
is a disturbingly powerful ability, right? It's a rule
There's
effect as a rule effect.
there's gonna have to be anti-meta for that.
Yeah, it's it can get out of hand if they don't have. They need to have something. I'm sure they will too, but um, it's
At the
alarming
end
to
of the
me.
day, though, you can't defend with that.
Yeah, it's only when you attack, right? So you open yourself up to being well. Actually, you can because it's only a covert character can't affect a character with covert, right? Because it's only characters
No,
with
no, no. The way you said it was is when you attack with covert, your opponent can't defend, but your opponent can attack with whoever they bloody want to.
yeah, they can attack
So
on
it
certain.
might help you in your attack phase, but then your opponent's just like, well, I'm not going to defend.
Yeah. Or if you pack a
Okay,
couple characters of
take,
covert that are pretty good
yeah.
on defense for that, so you basically swing off if you have the initiative with all your guys without covert, and then like you're
Hmm.
saying, and then when they go to swing at you with their guys with covert, you have nothing but covert standing guys there who, um, or unbound guys, I should say, who can defend then because their covert ability is useless at that point. But it's like
Yeah.
rather, I don't like it because it's rather like to use the Evil Five Colors game reference. It's sort of like Planeswalk or Landwalk, the Landwalk abilities where you can only block with Island Walk, characters with Island Walk or whatever. Um, and they had that.
It makes a bit of sense to me though, because every time I play against a ninja deck, or
Hmm.
I play a ninja deck, it doesn't fit the idea of like my ninjas are not going to attack across the open field.
Yeah.
They're not going. The Scorpion coup was not successful because they attacked in the daylight.
Hmm.
The Scorpion coup attacked successfully because 80% of their soldiers were covert.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think I agree with you on that. Like the theming is great, right? Ninjas having some sort of ability that allows them to attack in a way that a normal samurai, because
Yeah,
just by virtue of being samurai, are not able to defend against, right? That's
but
fine.
it's going to need some good anti-meta, or it's going to get broken,
Yeah, it can. It's one of those like
or it
things
needs
you
to be
don't.
a very rare skill, or it needs to be very rare.
Yeah. Well, I imagine it will be rare in other clans. I just I picked out the Scorpion because the Scorpion are obvious, and Crab too, really, with Room of Scouts, right? The Scouts. or any faction with scouts, like the Doji Harriers, for instance, might be able to have covert. You know, I could see them having it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Tattooed Wonder, but this is following into their theme of attachments and both having awesome attachments and having characters that trigger off awesome attachments. So they give us uh, three other cards I want to point out. All right, Kitsuki's Method, which is a one fake cost attachment and gives you 2 political skill. It's a technique. It has Ancestral, so when the card leaves play, you can return it to your hand, and it's restricted, like most attachments are. No more than 2 restricted attachments per character. And then they have an Attend Master, which is a 4 fake cost non-unique character. 3 military skill, 3 political skill, 2 glory, Bushi traded. Reaction: after you attach a weapon attachment to this character, ready this character, limit twice per round, so you can straighten twice, which is amazing. And then
That's nice. What does the Kitsuki method do?
it just gives you 2 political skill, plus 2 political skill,
Oh. Oh,
which is
okay.
good because, if from what we're seeing, political bonuses from events are a rarity, more or less. It seems like they're a rarity.
Yeah.
Where you get attachments will give you the majority of what your political skill strength are, which is really interesting. The way they've balanced that out a little bit. So, and then the last one is a conflict card character. It's Tagashi
My wife
Kazu. Hmm?
my wife just handed me rum, so
Oh,
I
nice.
love her.
It's Tagashi Kazue. She's a unique character. 3 fake cost, 3 military, 3 political, 1 glory, monk tattooed. And she also has this sort of ability to attach. You may play this character as an attachment with the text action. During a conflict in which this attached character is participating, choose another participating character. Move 1 fate from that character to the attached character, so she can steal fate from characters.
Oh, that's not happy.
That's what I'm saying. The siphon manipulation of fate is
Oh,
pretty.
that's not happy. I am not okay with this.
That's so wrong.
See,
Two.
this is what I get for not doing my homework.
This is 2 to splash too. She's a conflict card, so she can be splashed into other decks. So it's two influence, right? You can have 3 of her in a deck. Anybody can if they're allying with
Oh,
dragon.
oh no.
That's so stupid.
I'm not I I can't ally with the dragon.
I
I just
know.
can't do it.
I might.
I don't
I've been thinking about running dragon as my alt. Like I was thinking about it
I
strongly.
because I'm looking at in my head, I'm looking at building a crab scorpion deck.
Yeah.
Like big, I don't know which province I'll do it out of, the crab or scorpion, but
Yeah.
building a nice big crab wall of no and a nice scorpion sword.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Good
So
luck.
we were going back to that Kitsuki guy that you were talking about that costs a lot. So he's 3 fate
Hmm.
costs. You attach her to him, and then you have 1 fate to use his ability, and you walk into a battle or conflict, and then you steal a fate from her personality. So he's sticking around, and you spend your fate to steal his
Yeah,
cards.
he's just and he's not going anywhere because every time he just sticks around. It's like hi.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty rude. It's
Well,
rude.
attachments go away at the end of the round, don't they?
They go away when the character goes away. So
Oh, I
that's
thought they
that's
went away at the end of the round.
no, when the character gets
Oh,
discarded, then they go into the bin unless they're ancestral,
so
in which they go back to your hand.
so the dragon have the theme I thought the crab would have, which is I'm not going anywhere.
Well, kind of like it makes sense to the dragon. They really don't. They stick in their mountains and they just kind of stay there. They're always there. They just never involve
Yeah.
themselves. But when they do, oh my God, watch out! They're gonna fuck you up. So. And the last one, which I think is actually probably, even though it's the simplest, I think is the coolest card. It's a 0 fake cost event called Let Go. It's action, choose an attachment, discard it. It's straight up attachment hate. We've already seen a number of attachments in the game that are busted, hence Crane one that makes you immune to events, right? Just makes you
Yeah.
personality. This is awesome. This says, okay, you want
Isn't this an event?
it's an event, but it doesn't target the character. It only targets the attachment. Because
Oh,
the what's the above the on law, whatever the attachment that
above
above
reproach.
above reproach, right?
Yeah.
Says the character is immune to events, not the attach. I mean, there could be a rule that says anything attached to the character might be affected, but barring that, um, it's pretty much read as written. Just kill that attachment. And like pacifism, the one that shuts your military guy down, the one that basically blanks your dude, the calm of the wind or whatever the spell, right? That we saw the neutral
Yeah.
spell, right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of busted ass attachments, right? And this is the counterplay to that. And it's only two influence. If I didn't say that before, yeah, it's 2 influence. So it's really easy to splash. You can put 3 of them in your deck pretty easily, and that's about half your influence on a normal bay. So really strong. I like it. I like it a lot. And I think it fits on a
Yeah.
dragon to have that.
I'm seeing nothing in the dragon cards that fits outside of something I think a dragon should own.
Yeah.
I'm just not looking forward to playing against the dragon.
They are going to be the faction of big guys and strong, like
I,
lots of
I've
attachments.
I've
And
never enjoyed playing against the dragon though. The people who choose the dragon clan as their clan think differently than the rest of us.
and maybe they took too many drugs as children or something.
As children, I don't know about you, but there's drugs that were illegal that are currently legal in my states, and
Okay,
they are amazing.
I like Dragon. I think Dragon as a faction is the fanboy faction. Like you have Scorpion, and that's the fanboy faction. Same thing, right?
Hmm.
Or fangirl to be gender unbiased. Um, fan person.
Yeah.
But like, like the Dragon are fanboy faction too. Like they're band camp.
Hmm.
Like everybody plays it because they're Dragon. Yeah, we want to be a Dragon
Well,
clan. you
if you
know?
don't know the game, like the
Mhm.
first time I ever saw this game, it was a magazine article and it said choose your clan, and it was a list of 6 clans because that was before Scorpion was an option.
Uh-huh.
And it just said, pick your clan. And I was like, Phoenix or Dragon? Those both look awesome because they're Phoenix and Dragons. But you don't know anything about the game. There's no subtext. There's no nothing. Had they given you Dragon, the Crab Clan, the Defenders of the Wall against the Demons, the Scorpion Clan,
Mhm.
the Crane Clan, the Creators of Culture, had that little line been there, I would have been looking at that going, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm playing Crab. But when all you see is Dragon, Scorpion, Crab, you're like,
Yeah.
well, that narrows it down to 2
I think
options.
you see Crane a lot too. Like you see a lot of Crane. Like I mean, when
Yeah,
they promote the game anyway, you tend to see a lot of Crane, like Crane stuff.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, when they're actually promoting the game and telling you about it, but like that magazine article, all I saw was a list of 6 animals, and 2 of them looked awesome and mythic.
yeah.
I
I
think we're going to get a lot of that.
I think that being said, Dragon's probably going to be one of my alts, just because I've never actually dedicated a lot of time to playing Dragon, even in the old game, because they've never been back when I played the old game. The last time I played the old game, I was fairly competitive, so they're never really super competitive back then. So I never really paid
Yeah, I
attention.
didn't play Dragon. I liked winning.
Yeah. I think they'll be able to once people, like you said, they're gonna people are gonna fall on their face, just like Scorpion, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah.
But you're gonna get that one set of people or a small clique or a person who's going to unlock and figure it out probably 6 months into the game, really how to manipulate this, especially when they get
Oh,
support cards.
s- sooner than that.
You think? You think sooner?
I think it'll be about a month after the game drops. People are going to be playing this game.
Yeah.
You play this game enough, you focus on it, you obsess about it. You got people like so the way I play a game is I play it a couple times and then I
Mm,
think about it constantly. I hyper focus. It's a part of my ADD.
yeah.
It makes it so that if there's something I really enjoy, I will like it will obsess my brain.
Mm.
And we were playing last time this happened really bad. We were playing Smash Up, which
Hmm.
is a very fun game if you never played it, where you take two decks of completely different genres: dinosaurs, pirates, whatever.
Hmm.
There's like, and I was playing the game with my kids and my wife,
1 second, we're getting a little bit of.
and challenges are lost. It's just there's going to be people like me who just
Obsessed about the game.
obsess about the game in their brain, and their brain is going to go click, 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 click when they're sleeping. And they're going to
Yep.
wake up the next morning.
Hmm. Yeah, I think people once people figure it
They're not
out
there,
though.
they're just going to start rolling.
I think once people figure out that
Yeah.
how to play the clan and how to use these effects, it's going to be insanely powerful. It's going to be crazy powerful,
Oh yeah.
barring any overpowered cards. That is, speaking of
Like I,
overpowered. Hmm?
I fear the day Scorpions figure it out.
Yeah, Dishonor is always bad when Scorpions realize how that they can actually do things. Um,
See the smile?
yeah. It's just most of them like insist on playing like one type of archetype that doesn't exist within the card pool. All right,
Not
so
currently.
hmm?
Not currently.
Not currently.
We'll have expansions.
Yeah.
And FFG, if you're watching this, the Isuki family does exist.
I don't think Dishonor um will be
Please.
Dishonor will be restrained to Scorpion. I think Dishonor will be like it's actually a lot easier because it's in the mechanics. The ability to Dishonor. I think everybody will have the ability to play a Dishonor deck of some sort, even Lion, really. Which is really weird to think about.
Maybe. I see Scorpion doing Dishonor really well.
Yeah.
I see Crab possibly if they give us the Isuki family.
Hmm.
And I could see the Crane if they give us Daidoji.
Yeah.
If you give Daidoji the same kind of Scorpion Magistrate abilities we saw at the end of the last game.
Hmm. I think
Um,
like
but after that, I don't see many clans playing the Dishonor theme.
I see like I see each clan having their own different take on doing Dishonor. So for like the Kitsuki, for instance, they just uncover truth, right? And they're like, oh, this guy's doing
Yeah,
Dishonor stuff. They're like the Cinches, right? These rules lawyers and investigators. A lion, I
yeah,
just see basically just berating a person, making them look weak in court. I mean, I'm talking thematically, right? And then
yeah.
uh, like I don't know how the Phoenix would do. I think they're the hardest to imagine. Maybe using their spells, or magic, or mastery of elements to uncover
I
knowledge about things. But
I honestly see Lion eventually not doing a Dishonor theme, but an anti-Dishonor theme.
yeah, yeah.
Do you remember the card Enough Talk?
Oh yeah. I love that card. That was a great card.
I That was a linchpin for a while of my deck. Without it, my deck fell down. That was back when I was playing Military Crab
Hmm.
back in like the first
Hmm.
pre-coup, so a while ago. And for those of you who don't remember or don't know what this card is, because you're new viewers or you just don't have my crazy memory for inane facts that don't matter, essentially, when your opponent played a political card on you at any point, you could play Enough Talk. At which point, the character that he used to target his political view and the character that he targeted,
Mm.
his action is negated, and now you have a military duel.
Yeah.
It was a very great way of shutting down political decks
I ran it in my
because
I ran it in my
it
lion
was,
decks.
I yeah, I can see a lion theme at some point in the near future being very close to that.
Hmm.
Just a lot of cards that say, well, if you're going to be political, I'm going to turn this into a military.
Yeah. The first deck I'm gonna try to build like at a lion past the like generic how do I play lion but just as funsies is going to be my lion
Hmm.
dueling deck. I've always had a fetish for making lion dueling decks. They've always been pretty good. Like I wouldn't say great, but like pretty good at least. Back in the past, I want to see how it functions in this. Just because it's fun. It's my fun thing.
I tried building a crab dueling deck once.
Oh yeah.
That was
It's
I've had I've had successful decks in the past. I have. That was not one of them.
it's sort of like the Scottish martial art, headbutting people and kicking them while they're
And
down.
then kicking them when they're down. It's called fuck you.
Fuck you. Oh, okay.
Oh.
So we got a little off. Let's reel this back. Get train going back into town here. All right. So.
See, the problem is okay. Here's my issue with the entire theme of this episode. They live on their mountains. They're monks. They control fate. End of episode.
And they have
It's
attachments.
there's not much to them. They're very enigmatic. They're very mysterious.
Hmm.
Back when they were the kings of the Enlightenment victory, they had a lot of "this is what I do."
Hmm.
But without that, they're just literally they're second best at everything. And now, okay, they got some pretty good fate rules, which nobody else has, so they have the leg up there. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do with that? Create a dragon swarm? Well, the lion do swarm better.
Well, I think what they're kind of aiming at here is obviously they need to make the clan is going to be a healthy balance about between military and political actions, which they're going to be really good at, which means that they're going to be able to take opportunities in both conflicts, and aggress equally and take advantage of those both conflicts throughout the game, right? Two, I think that they're actually tying them into the theme of enlightenment, the mastery, the five rings sort of enlightenment concept in the game really well by having to use these fate mechanics with these unclaimed rings and then go searching for that ring, right? So basically, you spend the fate on the unclaimed ring, then you have to do the
Yeah,
conflict in that way, right? So you have
yeah,
to, so they're going to be kind of all over the place. And thematically, I think that's great because they have to go seeking it, right? They have to go out and try to claim that ring for themselves. So I think thematically, they're tying them much more into the harmony and the enlightenment through the five rings, which was completely lacking in the other game. I mean, enlightenment existed, but I'm just saying enlightenment as a theme throughout the dragon, wasn't really there as much. It was there in the Phoenix, like the uses of the elements, but not.
yeah. I so I'm gonna just kind of my issue with the first game, the old
Mm,
game, with Enlightenment Victory was you had to build a deck designed entirely on getting five very specific, one copy of each deck
mm,
in play. And it didn't really feel like at the end I was enlightened. It just you had to build the most balanced deck you could ever build, and the odds of getting it to work properly were crazy.
yeah,
It didn't seem like a great theme. It didn't work that well. You had to really work for it. And at the end of the day, I didn't understand Enlightenment as a theme because I didn't care
yeah,
about your five cards. Every
mm,
now and then I put a couple rings in my deck because they're useful.
yeah.
But it
Everybody
didn't
had
make
Ring of
sense.
Void, for
Yeah, it
instance.
did. Everybody had the Ring of Void. I had the Ring of Earth because I was Crab. Maybe
Yeah.
I'd put the Ring of Water in. But they weren't thematically putting all five rings in play didn't really make much sense to me. It just
Hmm.
didn't speak to me, which is why I didn't play much Dragon. I played Shinsei for a little bit while it was a playable faction for about a year, but even then I only played that as a teaching deck
Hmm.
because I wanted people to know what Enlightenment Victory was, and I'd use that the second time I taught them how to play,
Hmm.
the follow-up lesson.
Yeah.
But now it makes a lot of sense. It works really great with the Enlightenment. It works great with the theme. And when people figure out what to do with it, they're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of great times, and they're going to play some really good decks.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, it just seems really complicated.
Yeah, because you're looking at this from like trying to take all this information and trying to puzzle it together without knowing essentially how
At,
to how
at,
to win at the game. Like, you don't
at
know
this
how to
point,
play the game, really.
yeah.
You know the
At this
rules.
point, at this point, with what you've told me and with
Hmm.
what I know,
Hmm.
I would never recommend Dragon to a new player. Never.
Well, I think it would be great for the because there are those players. I'm certainly like this in other games, and more so than L5R, at least in the past. Is I'm a very much I'm an ADD deck builder, right? I am in Netrunner, for instance. I build like I just got done building 2 decks today, right? And then I played a game today, like online. But I'm consistently building decks and figuring it because to me that game's a puzzle, right? And I think Dragon
Mhm.
offers that same sort of puzzle to players in a different way, obviously. But the Netrunner, because Netrunner is a completely different game. But I think people will enjoy the puzzle, right, as it were. These sort of like okay, figuring out how these different little effects trigger and and how to compound these things and there are as a segment of players in any given card game or any given game really that likes to figure out the mechanics and works with lots of like jank builders, people who build jank decks or really trick weird decks, for instance.
Well, yeah, but those are people who've been like yourself with Netrunner,
Mhm.
and myself with this game and other games I play.
Mhm.
Those are people who have been playing the game for a bit.
Yeah, but
Nobody starts. No one's going to go to this. No one's going to go to the local gaming store,
mhm.
pick up 3 box sets of L5R, and go home and build 50 decks without knowing what they're doing.
Well, I think they'll start with Dragon because they'll see because it's very apparent in the way the effects are. Granted, there's a lot of subtlety, right? But I think the way the effects work and the synergies that they offer inherently are recognizable to anybody who's coming into the game. Because you have to understand that like not everybody's going to be a new to card
Well,
games. They're
well,
certainly
of
new to the
course not.
game, so they're going to be looking for okay, what's the jank faction? And I know that there's players who do that, like who get into a game and go, which one's the jank faction? Or which one's the you know, and the theme, aside from the theme of the clan itself, I think from a mechanic standpoint, people will be attracted to that as new as.
Yeah,
Hmm,
I can see experienced gamers being into this clan, even
hmm,
new to this game. But if I'm talking to somebody who just discovered card games,
hmm.
or they've been playing for a couple of years, their friends got them in, they've been playing a couple of games, they really like the games they play, they're really into the samurai culture, and I'm like, hey, check this game out.
Hmm.
This is the last clan I will show them.
Yeah. Another thing that a new player would probably like out of the dragon is balance, because the fact that they are balanced. They're not really they're good. They're like an everyman faction, right? I mean, they could do a little bit of dueling, they could do a little bit of military, they could do a little bit of political. And players like doing that. There's people who make all
But
comers types decks who want to be able
uh,
to combat anybody, play reactive
unless
decks.
you, unless you're an experienced gamer, though, unless you know what you're doing, unless you're looking for the jank faction, like you said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to point them towards clans that are simpler. I'm going to say, here's crab, here's lion, here's unicorn,
Mm-hmm.
here is, even crane, the way they have crane designed now. They're simple. They work very well together. When you have cards in your hand, you know exactly what you need to do to win this game.
Yeah, they just play
Or
themselves.
they kind of, even if they don't just play themselves, it's a lot more intuitive.
Yeah, and I get that.
The dragon, the dragon seems almost like a more experienced. If someone's playing dragon well, I'm not going to play another card game against them.
It's like high skill, they're higher
Yeah.
skill as opposed to higher skill. So like as a byproduct, higher entry maybe.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that there are a subset of players who will be
Oh
attracted to
no.
that.
I'm sure there's going to be some great players attracted to the dragon, and I hope
Yeah,
when I meet one that it's on a day they're playing somebody else.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, as I've said before, I enjoy this game. I am not very good at it.
So
Well, in the last version.
we have 3 final cards. We have the province card that they gave us, the unique dragon province card, the philosophy one, and the champion. So let's start with
Okay.
the other two because we had a conversation about the champions last week, and now we have another
Yeah,
one.
let's do the champion last, I think, because I have the funny feeling he's going to make me go off on one of my rare but fun rants.
Right. They're not rare. Don't kid yourself.
They're a lot less rare with the thanks of my lovely wife.
Okay. So it's Restoration of Balance is the province card. It's a province card, 3 province strength. It has reaction. After this province is revealed, your opponent must chooses and discards cards from his or her hand until the player has 4 or fewer cards in hand. And it has the fire element in the keyword. And I mentioned that for the first time, by the way, because we actually had a sneak peek. Somebody took a picture of the rulebook, of the deck building rules in the rulebook, and the elements in the corner, right, which we knew that were involved with deck building somehow, is important because you can't choose, I believe, duplicates of, so you can't choose another fire province, for instance, when you're choosing your provinces that you want to start the game with.
All right,
Um,
all right. Start that over again for me, because the way I heard you say it just told me that you can make it so your opponent can't have more than 4 cards in their hand.
After this province is revealed, your opponent chooses and discards cards from his or her hand until the player has 4 or fewer cards in hand. And so
Oh,
when you attack this province, because your province is
ouch!
revealed, and then they defend, right? You could strip their hand. So if they were going in with a big huge hand, they spent 5 honor, or risked 5 honor and drew this huge
I
hand of
just, I
cards.
just, I just risked all my honor. You risked one. I gave you 4 of my honor. Now I'm swinging for your province. You got 6 guys out because 3 of them just refused to go away.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you go, "Can you discard 3 of those for me?" Eh,
Yeah. That could be brutal too. Like,
I
I mean,
don't, I
depending
don't,
if you
I
have good
don't want
cards.
to.
No, not really.
That's a table flipping moment right there. That's a full on. Nope. Just. Urgh.
Yeah, if you like cards in your hand, say goodbye to that. On top of the stupid ability that takes a card from your hand that we saw the Kitsuki Investigator. Damn that asshole! Why does he have to keep pointing out truth?
Okay, so you discarded me down to 4, and then you took 1 away.
Yeah, so they have 3.
Uh, I'll tell you what. I'm just going to let you win this round. I'm going to go into the bathroom for 3 minutes. If you hear sobbing, it's actually from somebody else. Oh my god, why would he do that? They were your
Yeah,
friends. We met 20 minutes
that's
ago. God dang it. All right,
that's a
next card. You're
that's a
killing me, Smalls.
pretty brutal card, right? So the philosophy
Oh
card.
my lord.
I know,
Well,
right?
fortunately, you only have to deal with that. It only surprises you once, fortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one will involve a little bit of explanation because it involves wording. So it's 2 fake cost attachment called Way of the Dragon. It's philosophy. It gives you plus
Okay.
1 military, plus 1 political. Attached
Okay.
to a character you control, limit once per character. All right, so I'm going to say this slow. You may trigger each of the attached character's triggered abilities an additional time each round for a specific period.
Oh,
And it has no influence, so it can't be splashed. So, triggered abilities, and I had to look at this because there's a lot of things that
on
can mean.
attachments.
And trigger ability on each the attached character's triggered abilities. So if the character has a triggered ability, which means it's conditional, so it's triggered when you are attacking or uh, um, when you are bowed, or that's a triggered ability because there's a trigger there, right? Um, and they usually say once per round when you win a conflict, right? Once per turn. Well, now you can do that twice per turn. So it's a little weird to think about because the wording is
So,
specific.
a- attached character.
Yes. So you attach
So
this.
what that says to me is those characters that attach to other characters. Their abilities get to be used twice.
No, because it's an attachment itself. I forgot. Maybe yeah, I forgot to declare that it's an attachment itself. It's not an event. It's a 2 fake cost attachment that attaches to your
Oh.
character. So, like for
Oh, so
instance,
that character is attached to that philosophy.
yeah. So, like they
Okay.
say, um, the Kitsuki Investigator, because we've been referring to that card all day. It says while this character is participating in a political conflict, that's the trigger. That's a
Mhm.
triggered ability, right? And it has
Yeah.
max 1 per conflict. So you attach this to him all of a sudden. Now you can use his ability. You could basically um, discard 2 cards, like because you can do the ability twice.
Discard 4, lose 2 more. I have 2 cards in my hand. One says fuck, and the other one says you.
I actually think that's a cool attachment. It's a little wordy because
No,
they have to be
it,
specific.
it's pretty awesome.
It
I
is.
am.
All the philosophy cards have seemed pretty awesome so far. I mean, like the Crane one's just honor a
Yeah.
dude. That's like a ubiquitous force pump or a military pump or political pump. And triggers a bunch
Yeah.
of effects. Way the Lion is, well, kind of. I think Way the Lion is probably the one I don't like the most. It's my own clan. Give all your guys
Yeah.
force pump, blanket military bonuses. Okay, we already had that. Thank you. But yeah, I think the philosophy card. Yeah, I mean, like the Scorpion ones are awesome. Was it? We have I Can Swim and we have Way the Scorpion, which we haven't seen. So,
All right. So what have we got for the Dragon Champion?
all right.
Because so far the last 2 were ring. We were talking about them. They're all ring manipulations,
All right. So, unique. Togashi
and he's an
Yukuni.
actual dragon.
Well, we don't know that actually. It was pointed out. I was listening
We
and I
know
went.
that.
We went back. No, hold on. So okay, in the fiction, right? The Togashi Yukuni had an epileptic fit, right?
And then looked into the future.
And then looked into the future. So we're thinking. I don't know. Like he could not necessarily be a dragon. He could be like possessed maybe or something. Or
Oh no,
I
he's a
think.
dragon.
Um. Anyway, so
Shh.
Togashi
Shh.
Yukuni. Right.
Yeah.
5 fate cost character, 5 military skill, 5 political skill, 3 glory. He has the Bushi Shikenja champion traits, and he says action, choose a triggered ability printed on another character. This character gains that ability until the end of the phase, max 1 per round. So he copies abilities. He's a mimic. He's ninja shapeshifter, essentially.
Oh yeah, he's a dragon.
I think that is pure sex. It's awesome.
In
Um,
in the original game, Togashi Yukuni was the only character to be both a Bushi and a Shugenja. And the way they said that was possible, despite years and years of training for each, is because he was still a living god. He is now both a Bushi and a Shugenja.
mhm.
Both of his skills are maxed out. I see no reason why not to think he's still a living god.
um, I don't know. I'm holding hope that they don't make him directly a dragon. They make him possessed by a dragon or something. I don't know, something different. But that being said,
That's the Phoenix story.
that being said, I'm gonna scar your mind here for a minute because okay, so you swing into my province, right? You swing into my province. You lose. You go down to 4 cards. So you discard down to 4. Then I Katsuki Investigator your guy,
I
right?
love you, baby.
With the Katsuki Investigator your guy, right? With
Hmm.
the way the dragon attachment to him twice. So now you're down to 2 cards. Now Togashi Yukuni, who's copied Katsuki Investigator's ability, right, and also has way the dragon attached to him, gets you for the
So
last 2 cards.
now you're attacking. Now you're attacking the Dragon Clan. He's got the Investigator, his champion in play. You've got whatever you got and 1 card in your hand, and
Shit
you're
out of
just
luck.
wanting this to be over so you can go home and cry.
But it's not just your characters, it's any character. So he could
Yeah.
copy Hotoru's ability, conceivably, right?
Yeah.
And if he has Way Dragon on him, right, he can do that twice. He can copy the
So
ability
now he's
twice.
copying, he's copying the crane dude that starts duels. He's copying the crab person that won't go away. He's copying the scorpion who has the
They took my favorite card in all of
oh.
L5R, my favorite card in all of L5R, and they put it on a champion, and it's Ninja Shapeshifter. Yeah, it's amazing.
He was in my original scorpion deck.
Oh, he was in my Lion decks. Like, I would use him all the
I
time.
had in my original scorpion deck I had Kachiko who had the negative chi
Hmm.
ability.
Yeah.
And that was a bow ability. I had her, 3 Yogo Asamis, and 3 Ninja Shapeshifters. And when all 7 of them were in play, I would just death, 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 death.
Pretty much.
He was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, what do you think in comparison to the other champions? I mean, now, like, because we just saw basically two copies of each other. They were the
All right.
opposites, Toturi and Hotoru.
So so what we got now is we got three champions in play.
Hmm.
Both of them have a 5 and a 3 and a halfway decent ability with the same cost of 5 fate. Now we have a champion with the same cost of 5 fate with a 5/5 and a broken ability. He costs the same amount and he's vastly more superior.
Do you think he's better than Toturi? And actually, they have 6/3s. Like Toturi has a 6 military and
Oh,
3
6/3.
political.
My
Yeah,
apologies.
no
Oh,
problem.
so it's his ability is better than theirs. Because
I
their
think it's
ability
more
is I do
useful.
this one awesome thing.
Mhm.
His ability is I can do anything that's on the table.
I think in the ranking of champions, I think his ability is on the top because it's way more flexible and way more powerful. It could be potentially more powerful depending on what abilities are on the board, but
Yeah.
that's also its limitation too. If there's nothing on the board worth copying, then
If there's nothing on the
move
board
on.
worth copying, there's nothing on the board worth worrying about.
Yeah. Um, but
He's
I
a
think
5/5, and there's nothing on the board to worry about.
mhm. I think Toru is probably a strong second, and it's only because she could seal the deal for a clan that already is good at doing honor victory, or is
Yeah.
going to be good at honor victory. She'll swing you like that last 5 points very easily, just with her
Yeah, I
ability.
think so far for the champions we've seen, I'd put her in third place.
Oh, you're a third, so you think Totori is a second? He's so
No,
super.
he's in fourth. I'm just assuming Casada's the best.
Oh, okay.
All
That
you
will be
crowd time
interesting.
listeners out there, you know what I'm talking about. The rest of you can send your hate mail to l5rdestinycast@gmail.com.
I, it's worth noting that he doesn't read that email. I do, and he reads the old one. But
The only Ginger Jesus at gmail.com for all of your love mail, please. Anything you want to say of a positive nature, I am listening.
yeah, it's okay. I'll
I
be
have a
your
very
boss.
low I have very low self-esteem. It helps.
Yeah.
No, but no,
So
I do like him. He does seem quite broken to me, but he's not so broken that I would be upset with anybody using him in their deck.
I think that's the one thing I like about all the champions so far. They're all flexible and they're all powerful without being over the top. I think I don't get the
Yeah,
very like so far. I mean, granted, his ability is going to get stronger as time goes by because more effects, triggered effects, will be printed, right? So you'll have more
yeah,
access to stronger and stronger effects. So if there's ever a busted, but that's not him, that's busted effects, right? So if they ever make a character with a triggered or a triggered ability
mhm,
um, that is broken, right? Then he will make that double broken if he has access to it. Um,
yeah. Even
but
even then, though, with the fate system and people having to shuffle their cards out of play,
mhm. And being able to take fade
if you
off
put him in
people.
play, I'm just not going to invest a lot of fate in my better characters, and I'm going to try and drown you.
Yeah. So there's balance, right? So
Yeah,
I
I mean, a good player can defeat that.
I think that's the testament more or less to the rules too. Like the rules inherently are balancing over problems in other games where you have like broken characters and these sorts of things. You have ways of affecting that, right? So they can. I don't hope they don't, but they can potentially put a broken character into print and that character won't be as big of an issue. It might still be an issue, but won't be as big of an issue because there's other ways to deal with that. There's ways in the mechanics of dealing with that. You know what I mean?
Nothing kills a game faster than broken cards.
Broken cards happen. You have to accept that things will slip by in the design process because they can
Yeah.
only play a limited amount of games compared to everybody out there.
Yeah.
Things happen, and it's how they address it and fix it, and what you can do to fight against it. And like for instance, like I hate to use a Netrunner reference again, but like Netrunner has like been dominated for like the last year and a half by very oppressive decks, by very degenerate oppressive decks. And now, though, you're seeing a lot of, even though you still have these decks out there, right? You're seeing a lot of like jank decks win tournaments, and that's not so much because of the power level of the cards has gone down, but because of there's now tools that allow you to fix or to combat those things a lot better, right? That they've fixed. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm not going to go in a Netrunner rant, but like, so I think L5R's core mechanics being the way it is inherently makes people like Togashi Yukuni more balanced because it's like we saw a card in this Dragon article that takes fate from a character, so it's like you bring Togashi Yukuni out and you have like, oh hey, I put 2 fate on him or 3 fate on him because he's a big guy, or 2 fate on him, let's say. Um, Now you could take away those 2 fate. You could duel them, take away fate, and then take away fate with that stupid attachment character right there.
Hmm.
I mean, there's two viable solutions.
Yeah,
Um,
there's definitely ways around the broken characters just because there's ways to get rid of any character.
and if you dishonor him,
And I
he becomes a 2/2. Because he has that 3 glory that can be just as much of a handicap.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's thing I'm more worried about players better than me figuring out how to use him in ways I never thought of,
I
which
enjoy
is my failing,
that.
not the game's.
I enjoy that when
I
people
do
use.
too. I some of the best games I've ever played is when somebody pulled something out of nowhere and just completely dominated everything I knew about this game.
Yeah. People. I like those.
It
Those.
is
Mhm.
almost an enlightening experience to discover that other people have thought about this game in ways that I never thought of.
Yeah. Kind of like the dragon. I've thought about
Yeah,
things.
it's almost always dragon players too. Weird. Dragon players are the blue players of the L5R world.
Well, we're running a little long. We were going to talk about the dragon new players, but we kind of did that during the segment as it is. And we do have those the content that you're going to issue. So, how do you feel about wrapping up? Do you mind wrapping up? Because I think we've discussed certainly the entire article.
I feel
Um,
good. So I'm just going to put this out there. I've said it a couple times already. If you're watching this podcast, and I hope you are,
mhm.
and you've never played L5R before, but you're very interested in the game, don't play Dragon. Don't do it. If you are an experienced card gamer, if you like putting pieces together, if you like figuring out how things work, if you like making all the wheels create a beautiful musical whatever, play Dragon. You'll love them. But there's no middle ground. They are not a middle ground clan. They are the second best at everything, which means either you have to know what you're doing or you're going to get rolled every time.
I think what I would say to new players, right, is that Dragon are definitely a more skill-intensive faction, but they also have a lot more synergy and a lot more effects. Actions are important. They will be more balanced in their playstyle, so if you'd like to figure out and do balanced approaches to things, you may
Hmm.
want to try them out. And if you want to, they certainly
Did you
look
just
fun.
contradict?
Hmm?
Did you just contradict me?
I did, actually. That's what
Thank
I would
goodness.
say. That's what I would say. I would say if you're a new player
No.
and want to really just kind of delve into the game, except that there's going to be a learning curve because they do look a little bit more skill intensive.
Oh yeah,
Um,
there's going to be hey, if you want to play them, by all means ignore me. Please play them. Lose many games, and then when you start winning, it's not going to stop.
yeah, pretty much. It doesn't look like it anyway.
It's,
They look
it
ridiculous.
they do,
These
but
cards.
you're gonna lose a lot.
Yeah.
And you're going to discover without changing a single card in your deck that you start winning once you figure them out.
I don't know.
And
There's something to be said about bringing out like just like I'm just gonna bring out in 10 master and put like 2 attachments on him and go to town wreck house. Just saying. Like
oh yeah,
like there's
but
definitely
we don't
can
know.
be simplicity.
We've only done 3 clans, and
Yeah.
I can already defeat what we've discussed with the Crane clan without even thinking about it very hard. You got 1,000 people in play, but you can only attack with one.
Hmm. Well, that being
I can
said,
defend to my honor victory.
okay. Well, let's go ahead and do a wrap up then.
All right,
All
all
right.
right.
So just remember, we're still waiting to be clear on iTunes. So SoundCloud for right now is only carrying the last 2 audio episodes. By the time you hear this, there should be both this episode and the last episode up there. And but when we do get our iTunes up, there will be an archive of our old back episodes, the audio files from, because I am saving those. And if you want to email us, please email us at l5rdestinycast@gmail.com. You can also Facebook us at Destiny Has No Secrets, or Facebook me at l5rdestinycast. And follow us on YouTube, like us, subscribe us, and I think that's
And if you
everything.
want,
Hmm?
and if you want to send hate mail to me personally because I said something that annoys you, I am the only Ginger Jesus at gmail.com.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, so, Way Dragon, finish, it's a wrap. Cut.
That's a
Goodbye.
wrap. Be good to
Yeah,
yourselves out there.
go sit on a mountain. Fucking
Do
lizard.
not sit on a mountain. It hurts your butt.
Yeah. Alright. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.